The sport of kings, better than diamond rings. Football,
Wildcats,
football,
Wildcats,
football,
Wildcats,
football,
Wildcats,
football,
Wildcats,
football,
Wildcats,
football,
Wildcats.
football.
Welcome to the Married with Picks podcast, season 4, episode 12, week 12. How you doing, Steve?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. All right, so
Two-thirds of the way through the season.
yes, and let's see. Well, first of all, I guess we should wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. It's the day after Thanksgiving we're recording this.
Yes. So we have 4 games already played this week. Lions, Packers, Cowboys, Commanders, 49ers, Seahawks, and Dolphins, Jets. Other than the Lions, Packers, all those games have gone the way I anticipated.
Same.
How'd you make out last week, Steve?
Decent. I did okay.
Decent, did you? Because I did terrible at the 1 o'clock games. Kind of redeemed myself a little bit at 4 o'clock. We did have 3 bets last week. I won 2 of them. You won the third.
Good job out of you.
All right, so we have no teams on bye, but we do have the 4 games already played. If you're watching, remember to like, subscribe. So let's get into it here. First game on my list is the Patriots at the Giants. Patriots are favored by 3.5. So we have the Patriots coming off the bye week, Giants coming off their big win against the Commanders last week. In the Patriots game before the bye, Mac Jones was pulled, and I don't think we know who the starting quarterback is yet for this week. They were making it sound like it would be Bailey Zappi, but Mac Jones was taking first-team reps at practice, and Belichick has not named his starter. Belichick is 15-7 coming off the bye in his career, and for me, I'm going to kind of throw out most of the Patriots season and go back to basics. For me, this comes down to Belichick versus the rookie quarterback. We have Tommy DeVito for the Giants, and I think Belichick can do enough to get this game. I don't necessarily like the hook. I might buy it down to 2.5 or 3. And I was surprised when I looked at the money percentages that most of the money and the bets is on the Giants. Is that surprising to you?
No, because that's the New York money. This line's 3.5. It's a very weird line. It's like they're begging you. You know, when we talk about the lines telling you to take a side.
Well, who's it telling you to take?
I feel like it's telling you to take New England because why is New England on the road 3.5 point favorites to anybody, really? But you got to figure that, you know, when you look at Belichick and historically what he's been able to do to these younger quarterbacks that, you know, regardless of there being a down year, you know, I think you just kind of close your eyes and take the Patriots here. They have 2 wins. Giants have 3 wins. So if New England won this game, it would even out. You know, is the Giants 2 wins better than New England? There's not too many more wins on the schedule either for New England. So I think this is one.
They played the Jets again, so they got 1 at least.
Yeah. Well, these New York teams, you know. I would take the Patriots, but I don't love it. You know, how can you love New England on the road favored by 3.5 to anybody? But it seems so ludicrous that that's the side to take.
Okay. All right. So we're on the same side of that one. Next game is the Steelers at the Bengals. Steelers are 1.5 point favorites. This is a division game. Steelers have fired offensive coordinator Matt Canada. Bengals lost Joe Burrow, so it will be Jake Browning. I think that's his name. Starting at quarterback.
Yes.
We saw the Bengals early in the season playing with Joe Burrow not at 100%. It was not good. I don't think that it's going to be much better with Browning at quarterback, especially up against the Steelers defense, maybe with a little more life now that they got the OC out of there. So I got to take the Steelers here.
Yeah, I just think, you know, the Steelers have consistently kind of been out yardaged in each game for the most part. And have won and have a pretty solid record. You know, they're fighting it out for the division. 6-4. 8-3 is Baltimore, and Cleveland's in between at 7-3. So they the Bengals, for all intents and purposes, their season's over with Burrow going down, right?
Yeah.
So Jake Browning's been he was an undrafted free agent, I think back in like 2018, 2019, and has kind of bounced around. So I don't know how you can have much trust in him. I think Pittsburgh pulls this one out. As long as it stays under 3, I'm comfortable taking Pittsburgh.
All right. Next game is the Panthers at the Titans. Titans are 3.5-point favorites. And I know I said last week that I was going to stop with the Titans if they didn't win last week, which they didn't. But I didn't know that they were playing the Panthers this week. So I got to go back to the well, man. Panthers have a really bad run defense. Hopefully the Titans can get Derrick Henry going in this one. Again, I don't love the hook on this, but I got to take the Titans here.
Yeah, I'm on the other side on Carolina here. I just like the hook, in particular. Again, Tennessee, what have they done to really show that they should be favored by 3.5 to anybody, even at home? So, I would take Carolina here.
Okay. All right, next game.
We talked last week about Frank Reich taking the play calling duties back, for Carolina, and I think he gets more into the stride there. Carolina's not that great, but neither is Tennessee. Just a bunch of names, but they're not really playing well together as a team. With Levis at quarterback, they're not winning much.
Well, at least they have the names. What does Carolina have?
Yeah, well, they got a better coach, I think, this year.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Shots fired at your guy.
I like Grable. I think he's a great coach. All right, next game is
Love Tennessee.
Jacksonville Jaguars at the Texans. Jaguars are -1.5. This is a division game. These teams played back in week 3. The Texans won that matchup 37-17. The Texans are 6-4 on the season. Jags are 7-3. So this is a big game. This is basically for the division. D'Amico Ryans is the head coach of the Texans. He came from San Francisco. We saw San Francisco pretty much shut down the Jaguars 2 weeks ago. So I think he can watch the tape from that. And obviously they won the first matchup. So I like the Texans here as a home dog.
Yeah, 37-17 is a big score, 20-point win. First time these guys matched up. I like Jacksonville to flip the script here. Division matchup, only down 1.5. I'll give up 1.5 and probably about 4 in this matchup. I think the line should be much more.
All right, different sides of that one.
I look for Jacksonville to hit their stride coming into the playoffs. They're a playoff team.
Okay. Next game is the Saints at the Falcons. Saints are 1.5-point favorites. This is also a division game. Both teams coming off the bye. It sounds like Derek Carr will get the start at quarterback for the Saints. He had left the last game with a shoulder and a concussion, I think. And it sounds like Desmond Ridder will be back at quarterback for the Falcons. I don't really...
No Heineke, huh?
No Heineke. I don't really like either of these teams. I don't have a good read on them this year, so I have no pick on this game.
Yeah, it's like New Orleans has not covered the spread much this year, and I've taken them a lot and lost a lot. So when I looked at this game, because of that factor, I was thinking about taking Atlanta, but I'm not a big Atlanta fan. I think, with the yo-yo with Ridder going back to quarterback, I think it's just kind of, it just doesn't feel right with him at quarterback here. I don't think they're going to get much success the rest of the season. And, Carr's going to play. I think that New Orleans has enough that they can get by here. Look for Chris Olave to have a big game.
Okay. Next game is the Buccaneers at the Colts. Colts are 2.5-point favorites. This will be the second road game for the Bucs. Meanwhile, the Colts are coming off the bye. Bucs have pretty much been shutting teams down in the run game over the past few weeks. So if the Colts are going to win, it's going to have to be through Gardner Minshew. I don't necessarily have a lot of faith in Gardner Minshew, but we've seen him get it done. I lean Colts. I don't feel good about it. And when I looked this one up, interestingly enough, most of the money and bets was on the Bucs, which kind of surprised me.
Yeah, I mean, Indianapolis doesn't have that great of a line, but they do have some solid running backs with Jonathan Taylor. Solid is an understatement. And Moss. So I would look for Indianapolis to get enough out of the running game and throw to them out of the backfield. There's running backs out of the backfield as well as Michael Pittman a little bit further down the field. I think that they could give up some good points here to Tampa. I look to play the over maybe in this game. But I like Indy. I think as long as it stays under 3, you feel confident Indy will pull this one out by at least 3.
Okay. All right. Next game is the Rams at the Cardinals. Rams are 2.5-point favorites. This is also a division game. These teams played back in week 6. Rams won that game 26-9. That was obviously when Josh Dobbs was the quarterback in Arizona. And when I look this one up, the Rams have pretty much dominated this matchup. The Cardinals only have 2 wins going back to 2018. Rams will have Kyron Williams back at running back. Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua were both questionable, but it looks like they will both play. Kyler Murray has played well in his 2 games since he got back. So I was leaning Arizona until I saw how much the Rams have dominated the Cardinals over the last few years. I don't have a lot of confidence in the Rams. They did win last week, but it wasn't pretty. So I'm a little undecided on this one.
Yeah, but last week they were playing Seattle, right? And they owned Seattle pretty much the last 5 years. So
well, they own the Cardinals too.
Yeah. Well, I like the way that Kyler Murray is coming back. Maybe it looks like a renewed approach. Hopefully he continues to put points up on the board. And I think he's only going to get stronger as he continues, as long as, obviously he puts his face in this playbook and studies what's coming up in front of him from a defensive perspective of the team, the opponent they're playing from week to week. Just doesn't look like he puts a lot of work in. But, refound vigor after, being out for almost a season. It looks like he's putting in the work now, and he looks pretty strong. So I'm going to take Arizona here.
All right.
They're a home dog. Home dog.
Yeah. All right. I would probably take the points.
Take the points with Arizona? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't trust Sean McVay, some of his decision making in games.
They look bad.
They squeaked out the win by 1 point last week. So,
yeah.
All right. Next game is the Browns at the Broncos. Broncos are 1.5-point favorites. Browns will have DTR quarterback again. He was serviceable last week. Denver has actually won their last 4 games. So I got to go with the Browns defense and take the Browns in this one.
Yeah, they're on the road. I just can't see it. I'm going to stick with Denver. I think they're shown, I think they've won, 4-5? Did they win last week?
Who?
Denver?
Yeah, they won. I'm so glad you listened to what I say.
Yeah,
they won 4 games straight.
Yeah, 4 games straight. Exactly. I'm going to take them.
All right. I got the Browns.
I recall that you did say that, but I was just trying to think of what I was going to say for this game. And then you kind of surprised me because in that whole rant, I wasn't prepared for you to say Cleveland.
Yeah, I got to ride the Cleveland defense.
I like the
as
defense,
long as DTR is not going to make mistakes.
Well,
he didn't make mistakes last week.
He was playing at home. Right?
Well,
yeah. Go on the road. I don't see.
But I don't trust Russell Wilson against the Cleveland defense. That's, I guess, what it comes down to for me.
Yeah, this is basically a pick. It's like a 1.5-point game. I don't think that they're going to blow them out in it by any means, but I think when it's all said and done, no matter how it happens, and it could be a tractor pull, that Russell Wilson gets a field goal late and wins the game.
Okay. All right. Next game is the Chiefs at the Raiders. This is also a division game. And when I printed this out, the Chiefs were favored by 8.5. I saw it up at 10 earlier tonight. So in this matchup, the Raiders only have 1 win going back to 2018. Over the last 2 years, 3 out of the 4 matchups have been blowouts in favor of the Chiefs. 31-13, 48-9, 41-14. There was 1 game that they lost by a point, 30-28. Raiders have gotten the 2 wins since they fired Josh McDaniel. They stayed in it with the Dolphins last week. They did ultimately lose that game. Kansas City obviously losing to Philadelphia last week in the Super Bowl matchup. I don't see Kansas City losing 2 games in a row. I definitely think they win the game. It's a bit of a big line. And an interesting thing I heard on the radio, the Chiefs have not scored any points in the second half of the game in 3 games.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah. We saw Travis Kelce with a fumble and a drop last week that cost them. Obviously, their wide receiver room is not the best when you're going to Justin Watkins. Is that his name?
Yeah, they dropped
Watson.
a bunch of balls.
As your top receiver. It's not going to be pretty. But I think the Chiefs will get it done. I would probably put it in a teaser. I wouldn't take 10, but I could see the Chiefs covering it for sure.
It does scare me, the whole second half slowdown that they've recently been going through. But Kansas City is coming off that loss to Philadelphia on Monday Night Football. And I think, having to buy the prior week, they shouldn't be too banged up that they can play Vegas and take care of business here. I just think that Vegas switching to coach, it was a hurrah, hurrah. Ding dong, the witch is dead. They came out strong, won the second game too. But I think now Vegas is probably look to mail it in the rest of the season. We'll see what happens.
So would you take the Chiefs at 10?
I would take the Chiefs at 10.
All right. I probably would too. All right. Next game is the Bills at the Eagles. Eagles are 3-point favorites. They obviously are coming in off their big win over the Chiefs. Bills did get the win last week over the Jets after firing the OC. Eagles defense hasn't been good all year, so I could see the Bills scoring. Obviously, the Eagles can score. I guess, put this in kind of a letdown spot for the Eagles after the big win in the Super Bowl rematch. This is obviously a must win for the Bills at this point. All games are. So I got to take the points and go with the Bills. And interestingly, on this one, the money is on the Bills.
I'm proud of you.
What?
The whole letdown scenario talk off. You kind of stole my thunder, but I liked
Why are
the
you
approach.
taking the Bills?
I am taking the Bills. This is the classic letdown area after Philadelphia, kind of downplayed the importance of last week's game against the Chiefs. We all know it was a huge rematch. Millions of viewers tuned in to watch it. So, being the rematch of the Super Bowl the prior year.
I'm surprised I haven't heard a lot of rah, rah, rah out of you since it happened either.
Well, it's a division. It's a inter-conference game, so it doesn't really mean that much. I wasn't expecting really to win that one as much as, I wasn't too confident going into it. But, the Eagles have a bunch of tough games and started, including this week. It didn't start this week. It started last week, really. Coming off the bye with Kansas City.
When is San Fran next week?
Yeah, San Fran's next week. So not only is it a letdown game from the Monday Night Football game against Kansas City being the rematch of the Super Bowl, and my point was that the Eagles had that game circled on their calendar, whether they'll admit it or not. They definitely got up for that game. You have a look-ahead game. It's perfect combination.
Did you see Nick Sirianni leave? I can't stand Nick Sirianni.
I love it.
Leaving the freaking stadium,
I probably wouldn't
screaming
like it if
into
he
the
was,
stands.
if he was like the Giants coach or the Cowboys coach or anybody else's coach, but he's the Eagles coach, and I love it.
Douchebag.
I love him talking trash.
God. I think some people just get lucky.
Well, it's weird. It's almost like a system, It's a lot like we talked about Belichick and the Patriots being like a system in New England, and you can probably plug and play. But the difference is that Belichick was kind of the system. Maybe more so Brady was the system, right? Now that we're looking at it. But Nick Sirianni's not the system. It's implemented by Lurie, the owner Jeffrey Lurie, and the general manager Howie Roseman. So anyway, I digress. They had the game circled on the calendar last week for Kansas City. They stepped up and won the game. Next week, they have the rematch of the NFC title game. San Francisco has been talking shit the entire season since they lost the NFC championship. So that's the other game that was circled on the calendar. And then the week after that is Dallas. They got to go down to Dallas. So I believe that the Bills, not only is this, bad spot for Philadelphia, it's a great spot for Buffalo because with the hiring of Joe Brady, since they fired the offensive coordinator, I think they looked much improved last week against the Jets' staunch defense, and I'm kind of impressed with Buffalo. They weren't able to stick the ball in the end zone. They had some problems in the red zone, but the fact that they were down in the red zone and able to kick field goals, and a lot of them, shows that they can move the field up and down.
The Eagles.
Well, we'll see. I'm not down.
The only thing that worries me now is the fact that you're on the Bills, because anytime you take against the Eagles always win.
Well, they're 9-1, so they win a lot.
But I do like the Bills here.
Yeah, I'll take them. I'll take the Bills too.
All right. Next game is the Ravens at the Chargers. Ravens are 3-point favorites. And to me, like, I would say, okay, Ravens obviously have played very well this year. They're 8-3. Chargers are 4-6. Why are the Ravens only 3-point favorites? Like, to me, this line feels off. It feels like Vegas is begging you to take the Ravens, which means you got to take the Chargers. And I don't see, like, Chargers are the classic team that just blows a game. So I don't see the Chargers' path to victory necessarily, but I feel like that is the right side of this game.
I agree. I'm right there with you. I like the Chargers. I don't like the Chargers necessarily, but I like them in this game. And I think America is really hot on Baltimore. Still think that they're probably the best team in the AFC. And I think there's a lot of holes there, especially when they walk away from home at M&T Stadium in Baltimore. They go all the way across country here to play in Los Angeles. I like the Chargers. I'll take the points. Home dog. All right, another home dog.
This is the Sunday night game too. So
this is a Sunday night game, and the Monday night game is
the Bears at the Vikings. Division game. Vikings are 3-point favorites. These teams did play back in week 6. Vikings won that game 19-13. That was with Bajan at quarterback for the Bears. Vikings have dominated this matchup. They won all games since the 2021 season. We saw Josh Dobbs get his first loss as the Vikings quarterback last week. But I just got to take the Vikings. I don't have a lot of philosophy for it, but
yeah, I like the Bears. Justin Fields is back, and I think with Khalid Herbert coming back and running the ball a little bit.
Oh my God, is that the French version of his name?
He got some run game going on, but the key down there is definitely Justin Fields. They're going to go how he goes. So we'll see if he's fighting for his job now for him to come back for next year to be the starting quarterback in Chicago. And I look for them to go on a little bit of a run here.
All right. So different sides of that.
Not a big fan of Dobbs. I mean, I'm a big fan of Dobbs, but I just don't have a lot.
How can you not be a big fan of Dobbs?
That's what I'm taking it back what I just said. I am a fan of Dobbs. I'm not a fan of Dobbs this week. Like, I just don't think that, he can get it together against this strong defense. Chicago's defense looking really good.
All right. I think the Vikings defense is looking pretty good.
Oh, all right. Well, he doesn't have to face the Vikings defense. He has to fight.
No, but Fields does.
Defense.
All right. So different sides of that one. That'll do it for us for week 12. If you're watching, remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you back here next week. Peace out.